They went to Waterloo. I know I talked to the guys that work up on the cab. What do you call it, Boomer? Yeah. And, yeah, so these are. That's good. I mean, it's been different.
Council meeting, so we'll have City of Urbana here, and then it will start right away at 6:30. So if you guys don't have questions, if you don't want to participate in your has everyone signed in that wants to talk tonight for public input?
And I got him, give me a quote on windows and stuff, and we got all done, and I said, well, what do you know what the bill was, and the bill was $5,000 less than what the original quote was.
Good, Lily goes to, so she was here at that. She goes to an lessons. So just so you know, my one that is has been at it for a minute now, so she just does lessons.
Yeah, I think you know,
But she does pretty good, so she got raised.
Yeah.
So these typically are a learning hour
Yeah.
if anyone
We didn't
has
have time
questions
for
on it.
extra left.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're like the gal that helps me, she lives down the street.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. You tell me what it is, please.
Yeah. Most of mine is right now.
Right.
Okay, it's 6:30, we'll start out with roll call. Councilperson Holthouse. Here. Councilperson Bendel. Here. Councilperson Baskey.
Here.
Councilperson Huber.
Here.
And Councilperson Johnson.
Here.
Stand and say the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So right now it's time for public input, and we'll have Dwayne Elwood.
Yes, sir. First of all, gentlemen, we're at a public meeting, and I don't think hats are necessary. I think you ought to take them off. Another thing, are you proud of the city of Urbana? I'd like to ask each one of you.
I'll start off, yes.
I would say yes as well.
Yes, sir.
Are you proud of the way things look? Like right outside the front here, there's a flower garden. full of dang weeds.
It's being taken care of.
It is?
Yeah, we had
When?
people here yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
spent
that-
a full day, actually, of my own comp time weeding it and did bring it to the attention because it has overgrown and, I reached out to someone because it is unsightly to get it taken care of. And it's not that it's not getting taken care of, but the weeds do come up very quickly because it's, very old.
well, these days they repair it. But, anyway, that's one thing. Another thing, isn't there an ordinance if your grass in your lawn gets so high you're supposed to mow it?
Yes, I think
Huh?
8 inches. I think it's yeah.
There's a lot of them that are,
And
they're
they're
ready to make hay.
we've sent letters out, notices out to those lawns that need to be taken care of too.
You know, I'm proud to be an Urbanian. And I stick up for it wherever I can. But, you know, strangers come in here and look at that and they wonder what in the heck's going on. That's the only thing I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
But, yeah, and the hats are still on.
James Monkey.
James Markey, 2675 Madison Lane. I have a question about the agenda for tonight. Item 7D, discussion North Denton ambulance and police vehicles. Are we buying police vehicles or are we selling police vehicles?
Well, we'll discuss that when it gets to the meeting, but we have vehicles we probably should get rid of.
Okay, is that the new police vehicle or is it the old ones?
Oh,
Okay, because I was just making sure that the council doesn't have plans to basically sell off police property before the decision's been made whether to continue police.
no,
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay, then moved and second to approve the consent agenda. Any more discussion? Now we'll vote. Councilperson Lasky.
Yes.
Councilperson Holthouse.
Yes.
Councilperson Huber.
Yes.
Councilperson Johnson.
Yes.
Councilperson Bendel.
Yes.
Okay. Looks like the staff
Thank you.
reports are all
Thank you.
Take mine off too.
Thank you.
Didn't do my hair.
written reports. Do you have anything else to add to the city engineers?
No.
report? Okay.
Do you have any questions for me? Anyone?
Okay. No old business, we'll go on to new business. Item A, overview from EasyCog and upcoming comprehensive planning.
That's me.
Oh, can I just make a quick statement? Sorry, I did forget to take off the, I had mentioned that we were removing old business item A in the email. Oh, okay, perfect. Sorry, it's still in my old copy I have in front of me. Okay. Tom, thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Tom Gross, I'm a planner from the East Central Iowa Council of Governments. So we're a regional planning agency, and so we do plans for 6 counties that cover 6 counties in East Central Iowa. And then my role as a community development specialist, I work with a lot of small towns on their planning and planning needs and land use ordinances, and then I've got some grant administration experience as well. So Jennifer asked me to come here tonight to talk to you about the comprehensive plan and the planning process that will be getting started here. We actually got the agreement in place to start working with the city, but plan to not start it for a while. I understand there's a couple new council members since that happened. Because the first priority for the community was to work on the strategic plan and capital improvement plan. so now we're, with that finished, we're at the part where we're gonna get started on the comprehensive plan. And a comprehensive plan is a long-range visioning document for a community. So it describes current conditions, and then there's we'll try to do like robust public engagement effort, and use the information that we collect from different data sources and the Urbana community to set some goals and objectives for the community over the next about 10 years. So in the state of Iowa, a comprehensive plan is required for cities that have zoning, like Urbana does. So we're gonna get that updated before possibly considering an update to the land use ordinances. And kind of in addition to like the legal requirement for a comprehensive plan, you know, one of the other benefits, well, there's a couple benefits again for like kind of a list of planning processes, like including the capital improvement plan and the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is a little bit higher level and is going to have more of that public engagement, whereas when you did the strategic planning process, that was more with the council looking at like the near-term needs, and so it involved a lot less of the public because it was kind of about the kind of looking at the expenditures you might need to make in the near future, whereas this plan is going to go more for the trying to get more public engagement to help drive the development of the plan. So you'll have input from the community and something that documentation to show, like at this point in time, this is what the community was saying was important to them. And then that's going to provide some continuity for elected leaders of the community too, so that you don't kind of have to come in and reinvent the wheel and do the things that are kind of the personal priorities of the council, or you can kind of take your personal priorities and look for what's in alignment with the comprehensive plan and the interests of the community. So just kind of at a high level, there's like roughly 6 phases to the process, which will take about a year from now to get through. Sometimes we get through stuff in about a year, and then there's still like a month or two, depending on how quickly the adoption process goes. But yeah, right now we're just doing a community introduction. So I'm going to be meeting with city staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission soon to start getting to know the community a little bit more. You know, plan to do just a site visit and kind of walk and drive around and start to take some notes for the community. And then from there, I'll start working on the information gathering. So that will be looking at existing related plans that the city might have or other entities might have related to it. Start pulling some data, like demographics and assessor data for parcels and just a number of different sources for some different topic areas. And at that point, I would start meeting with that planning steering committee. So in the state code, the Planning and Zoning Commission has a role in the development of a comprehensive plan. And I will usually like meet with them during the process, and then they'll the plan will have to go to them for review and recommendation before it goes to the city council for adoption. But I typically work with a planning steering committee instead of working directly with the Planning and Zoning Commission to kind of broaden the perspectives of the input that we're getting from that I'm getting from the community. So it's not just the people who are coming to the commission meeting every once a month and thinking about what are the land use needs of the city. Will probably get a wider range of perspectives by including business owners, if we got any nonprofits in town, other community leaders, really great volunteers. Typically it'll include some city staff and elected officials too. And so I'll start working with them to develop the public engagement process. We'll refine that too to kind of do some of the things that make sense for the community, but generally that's going to include a visioning workshop. Community survey is the big one, and it's in the proposal that we provided, but we definitely recommend mail out survey to households. See the best response rate when that happens. And then potentially focus group discussions and stakeholder interviews with members of the community. And then after that, there'll be, I'll take that information and analyze that and start working on the strategy, and then kind of reconvene with the steering committee to start working on goals and objectives for the plan. And then it'll be a couple months after that for some final plan writing and getting it all put together before hopefully the adoption of the plan. Are there any questions? So yeah, so kind of I mentioned already how you might have some like different levels of planning for the community, and those should it's good when those can kind of work up and down your list. So we'll take a look at the capital improvement plan as one of the items that we'll look at, and by having those different planning efforts, they can like reinforce each other. One thing I'll add to in regard to the public engagement too is that for everything we do, we usually tend to have like in-person or activity or paper copy of the survey, and also an online presence as well, and we'll duplicate the activities and survey. That way people who can't make an event, they can still participate online, and people who are more interested in submitting the survey online, that makes me happy because it's a little bit easier to, I don't have to tabulate those responses, but we set it up both ways so that there are there's like lower barriers to participation from the community. So there'll be a project webpage that will be set up in the near future. And that is kind of just a high-level overview of what we'll be doing. Jennifer, I know you had a couple of questions. I think one was potentially updates to council about the planning process.
Yeah, just once we get started, since the main portion of it is not through just the council itself, although the committee will have elected representatives on it. I thought that it would be nice if we just had a section, maybe a line item that'll just be devoted on the agenda. If it's all right with the council, just to give those monthly or couple month updates to the council to kind of let everyone know where we are in the process, how we can get as much information out to the public that we can. We did start sending out letters or invites to various steering committee suggestions, which we talked about at our last council meeting. I did also put an announcement out on the webpage that I shared for people that would like to be involved and how they can connect. And still reaching out to more business owners, nonprofits. We don't have a ton, so I just kind of go down the list. So I think that was kind of it.
You mentioned a project website, so is that something that we would just link onto our website so it'd be easy enough? I mean, like, you're going to own this website?
Yeah, we have a public engagement platform. So yeah, you can link to it.
Yeah, so we can access, we'll have like, maybe for the process, since he did say it's almost a year long, maybe on our front page, we can have a link that's direct to the comprehensive planning page, just so that it gets people out there and engaged.
Yeah. So, and my goal for this plan too is to really try to minimize the time from like when we start the public engagement process to when we're getting a plan. So that it's still going to take some time, but really try to get some things done, more things done ahead of time, kind of minimize that time. So you might want to. I'll get the project website set up this month, but we might not want to like advertise it heavily until we're ready to kind of like send out the survey and have the new website.
Right, it would be nice before we launch it to make sure we have information out there for the public on there and we actually want them to go to it.
For the in-person public input, is that something that councils usually sit in on, or is it just the steering committee that's present listening into that, or just you're listening into that?
A lot of times I do more of like an open house type event, where we've got activities where, people can leave input, like, get a little bit of information about the community and then leave input, on topics like, what types of things would they like to see in the community, kind of transportation, like both transportation issues that they're aware of, like safety, or, like road conditions, so that if it's something, if we got a record of that, and then possibly like where they'd like to see like future roads or trail connections, that kind of thing. Parks, what people like to see in the parks and recreation around your main street, so that kind of stuff. Really cool.
Thank you.
Other questions for Tom? I did tell him if he doesn't want to stick around for the meeting, he's welcome to exit.
Yeah, I don't want to spend some more time with my son. So. Yeah. But no, thanks for your time. Really excited about what's in the city and getting started on this project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item B, consider resolution 2025-145, authorizing an amendment to the professional services agreement between the City of Urbana and Hall Engineering.
Okay, so, I have this prepared. I'm actually just, unless, you guys had additional questions to what was provided to you. I don't know, John, if you want to just give a quick overview,
Yeah.
of resolution 2025-145, which is authorizing amendment to the Hall contract, which I believe is on the pump house side.
It's on the pump house side,
Yeah.
so, so this is an amendment so that we can bring Terracon on as a sub-consultant to us to provide some testing services out there for, since we don't have certain equipment, for soils testing, we don't have the nuclear gauge. You get put on a list, if you own a nuclear gauge for soil testing, you have to get certified through the feds. We don't have that, Terracon does. And then, doing some testing, some soil bearing testing below the foundation of the building. And they have equipment and standards for that we don't. And then on the concrete side of things, we'll still be doing the air and swamp testing, taking samples, casting cylinders so they can be taken to a lab, broken, ensure they're hitting the specified strength, make sure we're getting our money's worth. But we don't have the lab equipment to break those cylinders, Terracon does. So this is really just bringing them on board to help us out and doing some of that lab work.
And when we did the second bid out, and we knew that this would likely come up as an amendment to your contract because that was part of the cost savings to the city.
Yeah, and Matt had included in our original contract that he wrote up, as part of our construction engineering, that we would have some concrete, I think it was sewer and water main testing. I think the concrete testing was more geared towards the stuff we are certified to do, is there and slump and taking samples. But this is really more to do with the equipment side of things that we don't have. And it's different from the tank. The tank, we put it on the contractor to hire the third-party testing agency, just because that's way more elaborate and several different concrete mix designs, and obviously the structural and geotechnical side of things on that were way more complex than the pump house. So, the tank contractor had included that in their bid already for hiring the testing agency. But like Jennifer said, on the pump house side of things, it was on the city to provide all the materials testing. So, any questions, concerns with Terracon's proposed services?
Motion to approve resolution 2025-145.
Second.
Been moved and second to approve 2025-145. Any more discussion? If not, we'll vote. Councilperson Bendel?
Yes.
Councilperson Huber?
Yes.
Councilperson Baskin?
Yes.
Councilperson Johnson?
Yes.
Councilperson Holhouse?
Yes. discussion of utility connection fees.
Okay, so, I have put together a memo for the council and the mayor regarding a review of water sewer connection fees, which was sent to me by, Councilmember Bendel, that this might be a good opportunity for the city to take a look and analyze what our current utility connections are, really based on the projects that we've been doing that we're also going to be going into a loan amount. And I can certainly let Councilmember Bendel discuss that further, but what I provided here in the memo is the current fees for Urbana connection. So this would be for new construction and water sewer connections for a new home. I gathered some information, and this was very high level information from Google, really just reaching out to any small towns in Iowa that had their published water utility sewer fees, and provided a chart here for where Urbana falls in with these same connections. I provided the council with 3 findings in terms of regional benchmarks, looking at larger cities as well as smaller cities in the range, and where Urbana falls in that current connection. So Urbana's current fees, our water connection fee is $9.50 and sewer connection fee is $9.50 for new construction on homes. And as you can see, Urbana did fall in the higher end for both the small and the larger towns. I did look for some back information, trying to find like when those were actually set up or what some of the reasoning was behind that, and I did not find necessarily that information from a city perspective. But by gathering this information, I've provided some key points here on why the city maybe would like to look at a fee reduction for getting new people into Urbana and new construction and the fees that come with that. And then I did get a good question from Councilmember Baskey in regards to what our current dollars are that we actually have in these connections. I had to pull it up on my phone because I think I forgot to print it off for myself, but I think I sent it off to all of you. The 2 water sewer meters that every home has, new construction now has to have the second meter purchased. So those meters are $175 each. So that's $350 in the meters. We do now have our system moved to the radio so that it reads the live data. A radio for new construction homes is considered a dual radio, so it reads both meters, and that is $200. Small fee for like couplings for when those are installed, and that's only if we do not install them, the contractor or the plumber does, and then a city employee will go out and do the inspection. So those are both small fees. The approximate time in that is probably an hour for an employee. I did put in here that you would have to maybe consider the impact on long-term for, more new construction obviously adds to the utility mains. So I found that the total that the city has in the sewer and the water is $610.
And yeah, really, I don't have much to add other than I know it's a pretty high fee. I think there was a comment by a contractor at some point about that, and I know when I built my house, my contractor kind of questioned that. I forgot about that, but yeah, accounted for that high of a fee. So I did ran the poll of Vinton, and I noticed that it's really low, and I sent to Jennifer, and that's really great information. And I didn't think of the fixed cost with the hardware, but I think that would be an advantage to incoming potential home buyers or builders to not have to pass that on to a home buyer on the house cost. So I think it makes sense to bring it down to, that's close to that 600 range combined. I don't know why we would. I don't really understand how you could capture a fee and use it for a long-term impact on the system. Doesn't make sense unless you're banking that somewhere for a long-term project, which I don't think that's what's happening. So I would just assume, my opinion is we should just assess the fee based on the cost to the city to get that home online. So that's my take.
Hopefully I provided adequate information for everybody to review the council, before the council meeting. Again, I think I got about 12 of the towns around us. Hiawatha, Vinton, Atkins were ones that were more local to us, but,
No, that was good information.
Yeah, I mean, after I reviewed it and asked the cost, my opinion was just to recoup the cost.
Yes, I think we should, necessarily disagree. I think next month we should look at resolutions like that. I would just suggest 300 each connection, or however you want to work it so that we get that, get those fixed costs.
okay, so I believe how that will work, because it is part of our fee structure, the City of Urbana building permit fee structure. We will do this very similar then to, what was the one that we recently changed? The roof, I believe, roof. So, we had resolution 2020-5-114 that was showing the reflection in the change for roof. So I will bring back a resolution for the October meeting that would reflect, I'm assuming residential water sewer, commercial water sewer, and is the suggestion to be 300 rather than 950?
300 each, so 600.
I'm sorry, what did I say?
Yeah, so 300 each.
So 300 for each, but the same then for residential or commercial, that it would just be the same, because we don't have a difference in our cost if it was residential or commercial, so I'm assuming you want to keep those the same.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
so I'll be changing then on the fee structure, the utility connection, residential, water and sewer, both to 300, and then highlighting commercial, industrial, both set at 900 right now. We'll be reducing both of those to 300. So we'll be changing those to 300 across the board in the resolution.
Sounds good to me.
So obviously there's not action on this particular item, so I will make those changes and send you a a draft of a resolution then for the October meeting.
Okay. Item D, discussion North Benton ambulance and police vehicles. Well, as you all well know, we have 3 vehicles over there. One of them is fairly new and the other 2 are older vehicles. North Benton has expressed interest but not voted on it, and I'm going to a meeting next week to meet with their committee on possibly a satellite ambulance there. And if that's the case, then obviously they're going to need a building, and we are set for that right now, except for we have 2 vehicles sitting in there. And I know we talked before about we need to have a discussion what we're going to do with a couple of them vehicles. And I know that the pickup that's sitting over there, the fire department Urbana Fire Department has expressed interest in that pickup.
Yes, just, I can't remember what month it was that there was a police vehicle discussion or PD discussion previously, but when that discussion was on the agenda, the fire department did mention that they would be interested in just exploring, which would be for the older truck that I think is a, thank you.
Yeah, and I think that's a 2000 or 2020 rather.
You know what, I would have, does anybody have their budget book with them? I thought I put it in
I
the
think
budget
it's
book.
a 2020, the Explorer
I think so.
2017.
I would have to look at that up. Yeah, I'm not really 100%, but I could definitely look at that.
I think that Explorer was So, anyway, I don't know for sure, I mean, I had a board member contact me, and they're going to discuss it, and I'm gonna go to a meeting next week, but, we need to have a serious discussion on this. You know, we can house the other vehicle in the other bay right now. We have the pickup and that Tahoe sitting in the ambulance bay, and we can always put that in the police bay where.
So essentially, they reached out because they wanted a place to have a satellite location, is the word I think they used.
Correct.
For response time, is that correct, with the ambulance? So it wouldn't be that they're just using it for storage, but it would be a satellite station for response time for Urbana. Not a lot of details other than that have been shared with me. I did try to put that in a memo for all of you, just the basic conversation points or discussion points. The other question, I know at one time, of course, the police department, or not the police department, the fire department has asked also about that bay to, you know, like if it's space that the city is going to continue to use, are we not going to use, or how the fire department could expand there as well. So I think that if we open it up to that discussion, maybe I have not invited anyone for discussion from the fire department, but I think that's something we could consider also.
Yeah, if there's no room in the police bay, there's not enough room to put an ambulance in there. It's just, there's room for a squad car, but it's not built for an ambulance. I mean, you couldn't get the doors open if you had an ambulance in there. And so that was what they asked, if that might be a possibility. I don't know yet whether their board's gonna approve that, but they brought it to me, and we're gonna discuss that next week at a meeting with them. So
What would that look like for us though? So if they approve it, or they think that's something they want to explore, does that mean they're gonna park an ambulance and have ambulance service basically for our area a certain number of hours a month, a week? What does that mean? Or is it just like, hey, we might stop
It's a
in?
satellite is my thought. I think that we need to ask that, but I think it would impact significantly having a satellite location closer, and within town limits. I think that we would reap the benefits of that. I don't know that we would contract with them to say, you're gonna run out of this satellite, okay, I mean, we could.
What does satellite mean?
Satellite just means that they're located here.
Where
Just located.
Located meaning?
So they're going to basically have an operation, like, just like they
They'll
have
have
a
a-
building over in Vinton, they wanna essentially, what I'm understanding is they wanna essentially have
have a unit
that
here.
same thing here and keep a unit here, so then they're based here, so there's a unit base there, there's a unit base here, and they would keep that all the time in Urbana, and if there's a call that's close to Urbana and the surrounding area, which they would determine, then they would probably run that unit
See,
versus running the unit that's out of Vinton, and if it's on the other side of Vinton.
they also cover, besides Urbana, they cover Brandon and Shellsburg and stuff too, so it would be more centrally located to serve 2 or 3 communities in the area rather than.
And, I mean, there
We
are
would have
times
to also
where,
look into, maybe this is where Jeff is going to, maybe it's not a contract, but maybe we would have to have some kind of 28E agreement in
I would
place,
say it would be-
because we would be housing something under our facility, which also impacts insurance and liability. So, I mean, I think that these are all good questions that, do you know when the meeting is? Did you say it's next week?
Next week.
Do you know when it is next week?
I'll have to let you know, I gotta
Okay.
go down. Seems
Yeah.
like it's,
Do we have any Benton County MTs in Urbana?
Of the 23, do they have 23 now?
or you're talking Benton County.
With them.
You're talking-
Or are you talking ones that work, or who's
Well, I'm talking about
licensed
the
in
use this ambulance, because I'm just confused on how we change response time.
That's two
next
different
week.
services.
Yeah,
That's what he's asking, because they
Who's
can
gonna
pay
drive
that.
it? Yeah, if you got an ambulance here, if they gotta come from Benton, how does that change?
No, they'll house people here and the
Oh.
ambulance.
Right.
Okay,
So
so
if
that's
it's-
what I'm at.
In
Okay.
Vinton, at least it used to run that way, maybe you guys know, but in Vinton, when they have someone on shift at Vinton, they house in the station overnight when they're on call.
So somebody would stay at
Their staff.
I don't know, but that's a good question, I think that's exactly what Jeff's
That's
asking,
what I'm
like, what
saying.
to find out.
If that's something they're interested in, what does that mean for Urbana? Does that mean we're giving up that bay and they're gonna may or may not use it? And we feel like we're getting some sort of additional coverage, but it could just mean they park an ambulance in there once a month for
No.
3 hours.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what it meant.
I think we need to get more information.
Yeah, we're
on what
gonna,
they're
I'll
asking.
get more information as we go to this meeting, and,
And that's what I would expect.
yeah, and maybe at this meeting here, Jennifer can go over with me too, and, so we can take questions, you know, if you wanna, pose them, you know, send Jennifer an email, and myself an email on those questions, we can ask that when we're over there too, but,
Yeah, if you guys think of additional questions, otherwise I did write down, 28E agreement, the satellite location, what does that actually mean? Is it all the time, or is it certain hours per week where the ambulance is here or someone is here? Is there a contract? How does this impact insurance? Would we be giving up the ambulance bay? So there's definitely a lot of questions, if you guys think of more questions. Depending on schedule, if you let me know when that is, I'll send it out to all the council members, because if there's another council member that would like to
Can we
be
invite them, can we ask them to plan out what they're
Yeah.
proposing and come to our council meeting?
yeah,
Yeah,
well,
that's great.
and after, it hasn't been brought up with their board yet, it's been talked about with some board members, and, they're kicking that around as an idea. Nothing's set in stone yet, they wanna find out how we feel about this, and if we're able to house that before anything's going any further. So, yeah,
I mean, I would think it would be advantageous for us to hear what they have to say.
I do too.
I think you have to get trustees for it.
Pardon me?
The trustees are gonna have to.
Oh, the township,
Yeah, it's not just us.
you're right. Okay, that's a
They
good
have a
point.
portion of that piece of
They
the
do.
building?
It used to be,
Yeah, something's the.
There's something
Right,
with the facility.
Somehow it's,
one
Because
third,
they take the part of
two-thirds,
the
one
and stuff
third
like that,
them
so.
and two-thirds us.
Something, I'll look it up. There's something I know, you're right, Josh, there's
And they
something
pay
in
for
the
part of the
contract.
empty truck, and so there's it's a partnership.
Yeah.
They have a partner.
But time out, the EMT truck is the fire department.
Oh, that's
We're
another
talking about a bay of the facility. I mean,
But they're part of one of the.
They're part, the township is part owner of the facility.
that's what I'm saying, but I think we need to keep like,
Fire,
The fire
EMT
and-
separate, yeah.
it's very separate, like it's a completely separate service.
Regarding the police vehicles, I wouldn't even so much worry about that as part of this, because you can fit 2 vehicles in the police bay, right?
In the ambulance, well,
I thought you could.
I thought
you
with
might be
the
able to, if
top,
you move things around, might be able to put them in their, nose to tail.
I thought that was long enough, and then obviously maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, have they seen, like, are they, to Jeff's point, are they like that back area, if they're planning to house someone here, like, are they proposing the use of that kitchenette and the rooms that are in there? And if they are, I think we would need to understand that.
Okay,
lots of good questions. I will summarize that and let you guys know when Gary knows when the meeting is, in case any other council members wanted to attend the meeting.
like I say, if they're kicking the idea around yet, nothing's set in stone, they haven't decided with their joint board, and, they just thought, you know, it's a good time to, you know, they have the volume over here between the 3 or 4 towns they're covering, and, been there several times, and they don't have people to bring an ambulance over here, so Center Point's even gotta go to Benton. So,
When is the meeting, Gary, and where at?
it's in Benton, I don't know what it is, it's not a public meeting, it's just a meeting with myself and a couple board members is all it is, so.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go on to our work session, item A, employee handbook.
Okay, so at the last meeting, we were discussing the work of the employee handbook. I put together a packet for, all the council members. Last time it seemed like several of us had different drafts or iterations, so in this envelope that's on your desk, that's the most recent draft of the employee handbook that we have. I included a timeline that if it works, the recommendation was to have me break down the employee handbook by sections. So I have, like, for this meeting, sections 1 through 4 to be discussed. October 8th meeting to have sections 5 and 6 to be discussed. And November 12th to have section 7 to be discussed. In helping this process, you can use this or not use this. I was provided a template of some questions, you know, like by section that might just help guide the conversation or the questions that you may have. I know that Jeff and Amanda were involved in this, and Gary, in terms of the first iterations that we had gone through, and this just provides a more in-depth opportunity for all council members to take a closer look at the sections of the handbook. So you can utilize this review workbook, but I did put down that on the agenda, and if we get through it, obviously this timeline is fluid. So if we only get through 2 sections, then we will adjust the schedule out. I think the goal was to have
Point of order, Mayor.
I think the point was to have it was recommended to see if we could have this complete by January, February with our budget discussions. So as we need to, we can certainly adjust the schedule if people needed more time. So tonight on the agenda is sections 1 through 5. And Jeff did provide some of his recommendations for this section, which I provided to everyone. I don't know, Jeff, if you wanted to point out the ones that you suggested, those are just the email that it was provided on your desk. I tried to put it on top of the manila folder so that you knew what went with this, so.
Yeah, I'm happy to read it. Did anybody read it? Everybody read it? I just had a couple comments on the general provision section. We talked about the city administrator being responsible and having authority for administration of personnel rules and regulations. I thought it should be called out that the mayor is responsible for enforcing those of the city administrator and the CEO. We should.
Can you reference what page that is?
That would be page 5, last paragraph on page 5.
I would agree.
Secondly, I thought on the page 6, so there's the last 2 paragraphs. It's, the second to last paragraph says consistent with the rules, regulations, policies, and practices contained herein, subject to approval. The various departments of the city may promulgate. I think that should say promulgate. I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, can you say where? Did you say the
I
last
think
paragraph?
there's a punctuation missing here.
Oh.
Issue rules. I don't know, I think there's something missing there.
Okay.
But anyway, and then the last paragraph says amendments to these rules may be proposed. I feel like feels like those are together, but I think that last paragraph is amendments to any rule in the book, possibly, right? So I don't know if we need to clarify that.
So is it, are you suggesting amendments to this employee handbook?
Yes.
maybe.
To any, yes, not, because these rules brings me back to the previous paragraph, and maybe that was the intent, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to clarify.
I'm sorry, Amanda, what did you just say? Amendments to the,
Amendments to this employee handbook may be proposed to the city council.
I don't know if that was the intent, though.
Yeah, I don't know either.
You see what I'm saying, Jennifer?
So I think when we worked on this.
yeah,
this
I
was-
simply took this as an example, you guys know
No, I
that.
know,
So
but
I did not think about that, but I understand the need for clarification right there,
I
yeah.
don't know.
But I don't have the answer, so it would be whatever you guys decide. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think we should specify that.
Because regardless, any rule. Right. So, okay. And then, the only other comment I had was on section 4, inclement weather. It would be page. um, 14, yeah, it says, if determined by the city administrator or mayor, the city of Urbana may close. I thought it should be city administrator and mayor. I feel like it should be a joint decision, not a unilateral decision, on closing city hall, just my opinion.
The only time I would see that would be, in inclement weather. So 3:30 came around one day and there was a tornado warning. And I did make the decision to close City Hall at 3:35, left. I think it actually, the weather hit before I even got home. I think Ryan was still here. But in situations like that where safety, that's the only thing I get concerned about is safety.
But you called me anyway.
I did, I called Gary anyway, but, I mean, those, I don't have a problem with, it can be just the mayor, it could be the mayor and the city administrator, I don't care. But I will tell you, in my own experience, no way in hell am I going down with this ship if there's an emergency, just so everybody knows. Like, we do get severe weather here, we live in Iowa, we get tornadoes, we get really bad snowstorms. I mean, I call Gary about everything. I would call, even if the mayor wasn't Gary, I would call whoever it is. But if there was a situation where I couldn't get a hold of the mayor and I thought that safety was at risk, I would make the decision to leave. Now, whether other people agree with me or not, and maybe I shouldn't make that decision, but if my safety isn't concerned with weather, I'm out of here,
Well,
just
it's
so
all about
everybody
safety
knows.
anyway, so.
What? Yeah.
It is all about safety anyway.
Right, and to me, inclement weather, that's what that means in Iowa. Like, the only inclement weather would be, we've had a blizzard here before as well. That happened last January. We've had 2 tornadoes that actually were considered touchdown just since I've been here. So I mean, in
I
a
get it,
situation
and
like
it's not
that.
about you or any decision that's been
Yeah.
made, it's more about future-proofing this, so,
Mhm.
you know, it could be 2 o'clock in the afternoon and there's a tornado warning, but there's no red cells coming, and you could make an agreement with the mayor, hey, it looks like we could have some really bad weather in about an hour, let's decide. There's a tornado at the doorstep, I would not advocate for leaving the building necessarily, closing, you can close the door, go to the safe space in the basement.
Than being out and driving.
What?
You're probably safer going down the basement than get out and
Well,
driving.
that's my opinion, but anyway, I'm just saying, it could merely have more of a team decision and kind of plan for certain things, and if something, if a tornado pops out of that corner, I'm not gonna advocate you, call the mayor, but you can, you know, I just thought it made sense to have it
Yeah,
more
I get it.
aligned with, rather than oh, we're gonna, there's 6 inches of snow and I was close to say don't go home, you know? It's not about you or anybody specifically, I just, for an employee handbook, I think it makes sense, but.
So you want it to say by city administrator and mayor? It looks like there's.
Unless otherwise, you know, I just don't, I don't know that it has to be like in writing, but I'm not saying it has to be like the mayor has to sign the sheet and everything, but some sort of collaboration on it.
Yeah, it does say extreme inclement weather, so that also is left to subjectivity, I guess I didn't.
I don't know if it rains.
I'll tell you what, I'll say it again, I'm not going down with this ship. If he I'm out, I'm out. Yeah, so that's up to you guys, I'll change it however you want.
Yeah, that was my opinion, I'm not.
I agree.
I don't have a problem with either way.
Then it kind of negates you making a decision. Yeah.
Okay, so page 14, changing the or to and. Okay. And those were the only written recommendations that I got, so if other people had things highlighted that you want to share, I think we just open it up unless you found more.
Yeah, I mean, this section for me is pretty black and white. I agree with everything that's been stated. The only thing that I keep coming back to, and I remember talking about this when we met, is the verbiage supervisor, because we don't have any of that called out in a job title, that Trent is a supervisor, right? Like,
Well, yes, he's a superintendent,
but
which
that's
means,
not a supervisor. It's
Well,
not called out like,
uh,
I just keep getting hung up on that.
which, is that in one of these
It's in-
specific sections?
it's
I
in
have to read
section
it. Oh, it is. Okay, where is it at?
Under the open door policy,
Section 2, do you have a page number that you got?
7.
Okay.
So it first appears in that very first paragraph, the supervisors are responsible for passing along.
Oh, I see.
Ideas.
I see.
So to me, if I was reading this, and we're looking at it in totality, who are the supervisors? What positions are the supervisors? That to me is where I keep getting kind of hung up
Gotcha.
when I read, if I was just reading this as a new employee, who are the supervisors?
Yeah,
It comes out of any supervisors.
What?
Not really any supervisors, right?
Well, yes. I mean, there's nobody called a supervisor,
Yeah, that title is.
but it's within their job description that they, I'm sure if you look at Trent's or Jennifer's position, job descriptions, it talks about supervising X, Y, and Z.
Technically, I know he's labeled as Public Works Director, but he's really more the supervisor, because he doesn't have any direct authority, hiring, firing. That's where that whole.
Right, so superintendent, so I mean, technically, according to my job description, I'm the supervisor over the departments and hold the supervisor position or title in terms of evaluations, if that's where you're, so like when I do evaluations, I do it not only for the employees in here, but I also sit in on the evaluations of the public.
So I think I'm just trying to keep, like we talk about department head updates here. I'm just trying to connect verbiage.
Gotcha. To have
And,
consistency.
yes.
Right.
I mean, I understand the concept here, but if we're gonna call it department head, then let's call it department head. If we're going to call it a supervisor, then let's say, I mean, I don't know that I love the word supervisor in this context, but I don't know. I can get past it. It's not.
Well, when you
near and
say
dear
the
to my heart, but-
department heads, when you say department heads in terms of like the staff reports, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's hard because the department heads there are very different. So like the librarian doesn't really supervise anyone. She's the director. Well, I guess she has her volunteers maybe, but, or paid positions. The parks doesn't, I mean, we have a lead contact, but otherwise the parks board has updates, but they don't
But
necessarily
we call
have
it board, like we're saying, it's the library board update, it's the parks board update, but then we call it department heads, and that's primarily and then you've got city administrator, which to me, if those would be the
Different categories.
right.
Do-
So,
do
if
we-
I'm over complicating it, it's fine, it just struck me since we talked
I
about it.
mean, we could simply define supervisor.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like, do we just either define supervisor or take out the word supervisor and call out X, Y, and Z job title?
I think it'd be easier to just supervisor is defined as the person you report to.
Your director.
Your director.
Your lead for that department.
I don't know.
So, okay, well, I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole because now I'm thinking like, okay, so who's doing the performance assessments? Because we're doing them, and Jennifer's doing them, so technically then
Trent does too though.
he's involved.
So
but
those
you're
are different. So
together.
since I started, there's a self-evaluation, so every employee does a self-evaluation, and then we do, like, for Trent, it would be a superintendent evaluation, because he is in a director role, or superintendent role, I guess is his job description, I think it says superintendent actually. And then I sit in on the cumulative report, so it's not just coming from Trent, it's actually coming from me as well. That's how it has been since I came in, and since the city administrator position has been created. Because that's how my job description reads, that I'm involved in the supervision and the evaluations.
My intent is just to clarify what supervisor is. So however we do that, I feel
So,
like.
but to make it simple, we could explain that in this handbook, correct?
Yeah, I mean, have a definition
Yeah.
section.
I mean,
We have a definition section.
Or just put it in parentheses behind the first.
Well, and we
use
can
of
also do just a
supervisor.
little asterisk at the bottom that supervisor means. Okay. Do you guys
Or
want
an
to,
org chart would simplify that as well. Just
like
say-
an org chart?
Because on the next section, we're talking about chain of command.
Oh, yeah.
So a visual org chart. Boxes and lines.
I can work on that.
that was all the feedback I had for. What work.
I didn't have any, but I've also looked at this a lot, so.
So I think it's fair to, move on to the next section, and then council members feel free to bring revisions to already talked about sections at next meeting if they want, right? I'm not saying this is, I would want to say that can't be touched again, so. these
Yeah,
four
no,
sections, so
I think as
it's
long
just
as
a
we're still
guideline,
moving through
right.
the guidelines,
Right.
that if we all agree that we don't have more revisions or corrections to sections 1 through 4, then on the October 8th work session, I will have 5 and 6. But I think that what you're saying is that in the meantime, I would appreciate any of the, like, information or documentation that you want to give that I can have ready and share with everyone, or what your revisions would be. But then if you find something else and you say, hey, I'd like to go back to section 2, paragraph 3, and I think as long as this is a work in progress, that's fine to do. This timeline is fluid and just meant to be a guide for the council.
Yep, I agree.
All right, so if there's not further
I
discussion.
got one on drug testing.
Okay,
I know it's not popular lately, but I think all employees, including council, should be able to.
what,
Or in section 5.
Page 19. So you have an employee, we know they're gonna legalize marijuana on the road, right? More than likely.
tell me what page is it?
19.
19.
You do not have the right to drug test any employee if it's not in your handbook, right? Legally?
Actually, we do, we random drug test
Anybody.
anyone that,
Oh, no, I was
well,
gonna say.
no, we random right now, we get random drug tests every that does happen,
I think insurance requires you to do that, don't they?
Right,
something, yeah.
but I think all employees, I don't know, it should, to me, that should be all, not just because you have a driver's license.
So you're saying all employees, even if we don't drive a vehicle for the
Correct,
city?
that's
is
how
what
we
you're
do that
saying?
at our work.
Because I know where I work, even office people are pulled.
It's not unless you're just gonna do a random, it's if the mayor suspects something and says, hey, something's not right here.
I would have to check the second part of that. I don't believe that we have the right to drug testing council member or mayor, but
I mean,
have
you're
to
talking
check
about
on
the
that.
library anyway, I mean, this is, not just
Yeah.
for now, it's 20 years down the road.
No, yeah, and I'm saying right now, like, I can't permanently tell anyone that I would know whether or not we can include, like,
Right.
city council mayor in this category. I would have to reach out and ask somebody that.
What's our cost on that anyway?
What's that?
What's our cost on it?
I think like, when we have, if one of the, right now, we just have the public works, so if one of them is pulled for, random drug testing, I think it's like either $30 or $70 for the random testing.
And who pulls that?
The St. Luke's Workwell, and actually, it could be the Des Moines office that actually does the random testing, and then we send them to the Cedar Rapids Workwell, because that's who we contract with.
Yeah, whoever's local. or-
Yeah, well, we have to contract with them, and we contract with Cedar Rapids.
Which you also have to
It's St.
report
Luke's.
within 2 hours.
If that says that in here, that's not actually what it says when it comes.
Oh, wait.
So unless you're saying, like, if the mayor came in and said,
Yeah, I missed that part.
yeah, unless you're saying if the mayor comes in and says, hey, Jennifer, you're drunk at work today, you better go to work well. If that were to happen, the 2 hours, I just know, like, when the random test comes in, it doesn't say 2 hours. It says, like, so-and-so has to report within a certain amount. Yeah, but one of the employees I know got pulled and he was on vacation, so he had to go when he came back from vacation. So it wasn't within like 24 hours, so I don't know. I would have to really look this up to find out, like.
Yeah.
Oh, this says if it's an accident, they have to go
Yeah,
within
yeah.
2. Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't catch that part.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's like.
Sorry.
Even if that.
So if there's an accident involving a city
If you suspected someone
vehicle.
of being intoxicated that was an employee of the city, whether it be Public Works or somebody up here, the last thing I do is send them down to have to test.
Right. Right.
Because then you really open yourself up for.
Right, so, I would have to look this up, so Josh, your recommendation is that it would be a random drug testing by all employees, not just people that drive the vehicle. I just have to check, because I know the insurance, I don't believe, the insurance doesn't require that. I believe that our insurance requires if they operate a city vehicle or city equipment. That's where our insurance says that it's mandatory. Now, anything else would be based on a handbook, I guess.
I would also, when you're looking that up, Jennifer, I think if you're thinking about like, doing it because you believe someone is intoxicated or impaired while they're working, so Jennifer or the mayor and the mayor would probably have to go through some mandatory like reporting type classes on what to look for. I know I have to do that annually as a director.
Okay, so I'm gonna find out, so look up the random all-employee drug testing and, with or without, like, driving of city vehicles, right? So you're saying even if you don't drive the city vehicle, still, so I just wanna follow, because this one says, like, a test within 2 hours if it's accident related, which I'm assuming means accident related if they're driving a city vehicle. The random drug testing that's already being done is only currently done with public works employees because they operate city vehicle or machinery. So like, there's a lot of things within this section that would probably need to change if you're just saying like, is it random? Is it, you wanna put language in there to say like, if suspected something, like, there's a difference, I guess, where I'm using the word random. Like, if Gary says in and says, Jennifer, you need to go to work while we go get a random drug test, whatever. Or is that something where the insurance puts us,
It would be,
all
you're
employees
talking
into a
basically
random
like,
pool?
like random versus reasonable suspicion.
Reasonable suspicion, thank you.
And then again, if I suspected someone being intoxicated because of drugs or alcohol, I would not have them drive down.
We would have to outline that, it would change a lot in our.
You know, if I come in here and Jennifer was pushing, the person could be having a diabetic reaction and act the same way as a drunk person does, you know, an intoxicated person, but,
I'm trying to think of this.
but if a person come in here, say I come in here and I was acting goofier than what I normally am, and you thought I was intoxicated, that would be the time to call Benton County and have them come over and test me. And if I was intoxicated, they can take me out for public intox.
But that's where I come back
That's
to,
where
I think we need this training or something, because I don't even think that, I believe, you're a mayor, I don't know if, just because you get paid your stipend, I'm not sure if that makes you a city employee. That's the first thing I would need to check. Second thing is you're also retired, so if you come in here and I think that you've had a couple drinks, the only thing that I could do is be like, okay, do I feel that he's unsafe to drive, or if he's getting into a car, and I can call Benton County, but I don't know that I have the authority to do that over a council member or
Well,
a mayor.
I don't know that you're a mandatory reporter on that in City Hall.
Can we reach out to League of Cities maybe on
Yep.
this and see? I think it's three things. We obviously know we have the insurance piece that has to be done. Then are we talking about random and pre-employment, which we had talked about when we initially did this, and I think we took that out because
pre-employment, I
it's
forgot
getting
about
very
that one.
complicated as we were talking that through, and it would require us to write much more in-depth policies around that. And then we're also talking about the third option is the reasonable suspicion drug and alcohol testing.
Should there be something about, like, get hurt on the job? I know my company, if you get hurt on the job, it's automatically you're going to get alcohol and drug test.
It's in here
Oh, is that?
for just CDL employees, but what if they fell on the steps?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like right now, if I fall down the steps or Ryan falls down the steps, we're supposed to go to Workwell or the emergency, and we're supposed to report it to the insurance number, the nurse claim number, within a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
But that's not scheduled out here.
Well, no, but it doesn't mean I fell down the stairs due to drugs.
Well,
Or, I mean, I could fall down the stairs due to drugs, but again, that's two totally separate things. That's a work comp issue versus a suspicion that I fell down the stairs because I was drinking. Do you know what I mean? Those are still two separate things.
Yeah.
Because obviously we pay work comp here at the city for all of the employees. So if I got hurt on work, at work, it's no different for me if I get hurt at work, or if it's one of the public works or police or whoever it is. The work comp is the same. Yes, we have to go, we have to
But should
report.
that be stated in the handbook though?
If that would be stated in the handbook, that would be under a work comp section and insurance. It wouldn't be under the drug testing.
So it's in section 4 that we just talked about, employee safety, accidents, and job related injuries.
Yeah, there you go.
12. 12. But I guess you mentioned something, and I don't recall seeing it in here, is if an employee were to be injured, you just mentioned the nurse line?
Yeah, but that's specific to our work comp posters that we have posted in every area.
Okay.
Because we just had our work comp visit. She came on site, if you guys remember. she was just here. So we have the mandatory flyers and magnets that have the I don't know, it's like an 800 number where we contact the nurses line. And we do that, it says within a reasonable time, because obviously if somebody's going to the emergency room, the last thing that we may do is just say, what we have to have is date, time, and when it took place in a reasonable amount of time. And again, if we're thinking about the future document, like, that would be one of those things that if the number changes or the provider changes, then we have to update this handbook so that the number's in here. Otherwise, it's on magnets and everything.
I'm good. I was assuming that there's gonna be a separate policy if there was one. And we leave it generalized in the employee handbook.
I'm good. As far as the section 5, kind of skipped ahead a little bit. I think there's a back one you can.
Pre-work.
Pre-work.
Next session.
And I have questions, so I'll try and get that information before the next meeting for sure. Did you have other things written down, Josh, in like sections 1 to 4 that you wanted to add? Randy and Scott, did either of you have more that you have written down of questions or
No.
anything for this section?
Everything looked pretty well rounded.
Okay.
Okay, so we're done with the employee handbook section then?
I think so. I think
Okay.
we're ready to move on.
Item B, public input and transparency.
Okay, so during the last couple of weeks, we've had quite a few like public input, I shouldn't say quite a few, about 5 or less, emails that have come through that are, questions to the public, or excuse me, to the council or to myself, that are requiring a good amount of time to respond. Some of the information, really good. Some of the time spent is information that I feel like maybe should be shared with others in the public. I'm trying to utilize the website as much as possible. In terms of public input and transparency though, I'm kind of wondering if we should post some of the emails or questions that come in, and then the exact response that the city gives to those questions to ensure that the transparency is being put out to the public in the exact way that it comes through this office.
Excluding who submitted.
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know.
Because
Right.
the other thing.
Well, no, you're saying we would just put it out there, like,
Of course.
I mean, once the questions come in and once there's a response, anything that comes in is public record. So as long as it wouldn't pertain to something personal in terms of like, and I'm not talking about inquiries that come in regarding someone's personal property or an inquiry that comes in like for their utility billing or questions they have regarding their bill, things like that. I'm talking about the type of emails that come in that are lengthy, that are making accusatory language of things that the city does or question what the city does that require an in-depth response back. I don't know. I don't know if you want to share some of like what my concern was, or maybe other people have the same concern.
So my thought here, and I'm not following. The reason why I say, would we really put out where it came from? I just comment on that. I don't want people to fear. I mean, granted, some of the things that we get and some of the way it's written can be harsh. I don't think that there's any way to get around that. That is the nature of this, where we sit. I would really hate to discourage people from asking questions to try to get educated because they're in fear that it's going to get posted on our city website. And I am not in favor of that.
You can post it on the website, I wouldn't include somebody's name.
I was thinking more along the lines of FAQs. Can we draft that? I mean, your responses, I mean, I've read through them. I agree with everything. If I didn't, I would put in my 2 cents, but it is the nature of where we sit in government. I don't want to discount people's feelings. They have the right to feel that way. Now, do people have the right to be disrespectful and how they go about it and their approach? No, but we do have to be safe. I mean, today's a perfect example of that. But I don't want to just blast people's peer email. They're coming to us in a concerned, confident state, and I would think that we would want to uphold that confidentiality. They have the right to feel that way.
So would you consider public input via email any different than public input at the podium? Because we require their name and address, well, maybe not address, but their name. So what's the difference? And it's public record, right? They're providing input about how they feel about the city, how it's being done. And I feel like we invest a lot of time responding to these questions.
I just think it looks tacky.
I don't think it's, well, I see what
I
you're
think
saying.
it's tacky to put an email that we received with someone's name and just blast it up on the website.
And I don't even necessarily, I'm not even necessarily saying the person's name has to be out there. I do think that the exact wording and say redact, I don't care, but redact the person's name or their email, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah,
But the
don't touch the
information,
body.
right,
Body.
but I think the information that is in there, that a perfect example of today is simply that, yes, people have the right to express their concerns, or they can email me all day long. They think that I'm embezzling or that I'm doing, maybe, and they want to accuse me of something directly. I feel that it's not tacky if the public demands transparency as they are or as they do, then the best way to give that transparency, I feel, is here are the questions the city received this week. Here are the exact questions. Here was the exact response that the city gave. Because I'm not saying it's all accusatory, but the questions that are given and the detailed response that goes back, I feel is accurate and information that should be shared with all, so that one person doesn't say, well, I do send my concerns to the city and I don't get shit back. That there should be not retaliatory, not unsafe, but for the city to be able to come back and say, this is public record. The question is this, or the statement was this, and this is exactly how the city responded to it. Redact the information, don't, but I feel that in this type of constant demand for transparency, I don't have a problem with people ever coming in and asking the question in person, but if someone asks the question in person or asks the question via email, when we have a public hearing, we take all that information in and we give it publicly, whether they submit it by email, whether they came in person to do it, whether they came into the meeting. maybe it was not tactfully asked, okay, or whatever. But the response, I think it's necessary that people know that the city has the answers if you come and look for them.
I
And
think
why
it's
not
respectful to take those and gracefully put them. I don't agree with just taking it word for word and verbatim. If you all want to do that, great. I would highly suggest that we do that things. And I understand where you're coming from, Jeff, that people are gonna come here, but if that's what people then choose to do, they know that they're coming to do that. They should be able to address their city government however they feel comfortable, and not have it be, oh, well, we're just gonna go blast this all over. I completely agree. I think that if there's a question, they're probably not the only person who has the question, and the information is really good. I just prefer that I think that we remain professional and we put it out professionally. We don't stoop to the level of just, well, this is an upset, disgruntled resident, and we're just gonna post that on our website. That is taxi engagement.
Yeah, I wouldn't, that's just gonna be a disaster. We know there's just a few people in town that's read the wrong information, and we all know who they are. It's not a good idea to do that, as far as I think it's gonna be a bigger can of worms.
Well, it could blow up, you know, you could have, besides just having a few people, we may have, next week it may be 5 or 6, and then next week it's gonna be a dozen. And where we get a stop?
Because they're gonna start reading stuff that isn't real.
Well, and I guess that was the whole purpose behind it, is that people start going to the actual site to get the information. If there's a lengthy response that had to be provided for that question, then why isn't that question with the lengthy response available to everyone? Anyone that asks the question. I feel that it should be available to anyone.
And I think you, actually, frankly, the documents you've shared, the posts that you do put together, the detailed information is outstanding. And it's usually sparked from some sort of question to us or you or whatever. So, I mean, that's great. I feel like there's not, I feel like maybe there is some uncertainty. People don't understand quite how many emails and questions actually flow in that are requesting information or accusing, maybe not accusing, that's not the right term, but insinuating things that aren't true or fair to the council, to the mayor, to the city administrator. And to provide a response, it takes hours to build those responses to make it complete, accurate, because, you know.
So it doesn't get twisted.
So it doesn't get twisted, and so putting the name out there, I mean, you know, it is what it is. I wouldn't be opposed to redacting it, and you're right, it probably would become it could go sideways, but I just think that there's a lot of value in people understanding what the questions are and how we have to provide a response to it. So I think we could probably just continue with what we've got going as far as like website posts with detailed information that is sparked from questions.
And maybe it's just a weekly frequent question answered. Like, here are different questions that came in, and here's the city response that was given. Like, I don't know. I just,
Can I?
no, not really. People just need to, I feel that people need to understand that there is a significant amount of time that go through that. And for someone in my position, I say my position or the city employee's position, because although certain people in the community think, you know, whatever with their First Amendment rights and they can do these things, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I wouldn't have signed up for this position. The problem that it becomes is it's the personal constant attacks on the city employees and the city administrator that work here, and not always toward people who were elected in a position, and there is a difference. And I feel that the information, if the information is coming into this office, and it is public information once it comes into this office, that when an appropriate response is given and dedication and time, because I can't hang up on a person, I can't tell them that their concern is not of value. What do I have to do? I have to spend the time and give an adequate response. Where I sent that message multiple times to, 5 different people, let's say, or the same person 5 different times, whatever it is. That information was well thought out, it was shared with council, it was shared back with that person, and I feel it should be shared with not just one person, but all 1,599 people in this community, because the constant feeling that we have in this office that we are being dishonest or untruthful is completely asinine. And I feel that yes, we have a website, and I feel that we should utilize that in transparency in every single way that we can. Every single way. So, I mean, maybe it's not the exact email, because somebody can come in and get that as a public record if they want. I just feel that when the responses and the accusations come in, and they come in, or they're shared, or they're reposted, and then it's not accurate, I feel that it's our responsibility to be able to at least put out there, here are the questions that came in this week. Here are the detailed responses that were given to whoever it was that made it. I don't know. And maybe it's an FAQ, but you would be surprised the amount of people that don't utilize the website for their questions. And that's
Which is why we have multiple ways in which they can ask that question.
right, which I feel we just share the answer is all I'm saying. That whether we share a person's name or not, I don't care. But when the questions come through,
I guess I'm just gonna say this. Are we sure we're not taking things more personal than what we need to? Let's share the facts and not take it so personally. I mean, somebody can come in here and ask the question. So are we going to record that conversation and put it out there? Like, to me, it's just, we're nickeling and diming this, and I think there's value in what we're doing. I love the posts. I think that they're great. It's another way that we're providing that transparency. But in my opinion, yes, some things are harsh, and yes, they're critical. Maybe they should be. I don't know. I mean, am I critical of my state legislators? Yes, and I should be. Like, I think we're taking some of this too far to respond, and it's just going to continue and continue. And it's going to happen now, and it's going to happen in 10 years. The same.
well, when you say take it too far, I mean, I guess I don't know how to respond to that, because in my role, I don't think that I have the option not to respond to someone.
And I, as a director, I don't have the option in my facility to not respond to my employees. I mean, it's no different than that. My employees is no different than the residents of Urbana, in my opinion. If they come to me with a concern or a question, I'm going to respond. I'm going to spend the time, because that's my role. And then if coming out of that conversation, if I feel like it's something that needs to be addressed with my entire team, I'm going to put together an FAQ, and I'm going to go and share that. But I'm not going to go blast that conversation to the entire team. I'm going to draft it and share. I get the transparency. I love the post. I think we need to be tactful about it. That's all I'm saying.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think we should just continue probably the, what we're doing as far as those I don't know if you call them those or what, where you link like a.
Those are just, the website post you mean? If we do a website post.
So I think that's fair, and it's complete. Maybe it's getting shared to like the city page. Maybe we do more broadcasting of that on local, Facebook pages.
And if you want to share, I mean, I'm also
know.
hearing that, like, you want to share feedback and communication. I don't get a mayor report. I don't get a city administrator report. I mean, that's another mechanism. We want people to come here.
I know. So I oftentimes don't give a city administrator report, because I'm always the one giving all the reporting. I'm the one that talks through the whole meeting, I feel like. So, I don't know. I just felt like if there are certain things that come in and responses that go out, I feel that it can be more impactful if the same response goes out to everyone, so that everybody sees the same response regarding something with the audit or whatever some of these things were that came in, but.
Okay. Anything further? I'll seek a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now that it's over, I just want to add just real quick for something for the council to think about. Your website is not very user-friendly, and I have tried to go find stuff, and you gotta really dig and search. So that might be something to look
What
at.
exactly is it that you go to the website looking for?
Even just trying to find what's coming up at the meeting. I don't go very often, but I am saying the times I have gone specifically to look, I don't find it very user-friendly, and I think for older people, they don't find it very user-friendly. And you're wanting to add a whole bunch more stuff on it, and I think that's great, because I want the transparency, but I think we have to figure out a way to do it that we can find it quickly and not be trying to search.
I guess you would probably have to come in and see me or really look through it and be more specific on what you're talking about. Because
I'm not
every single minute, every single agenda, every single item on the agendas is all posted and you can get to it from the front page. So you would have to really share more specific information in terms of what you can find.
I can share that the oldest information is first, so you have to scroll through multiple, especially when you log in.
Yeah, and I called about that before, and unfortunately, that we don't have the option, so like, if you're going to the minutes, you just simply have to click view all, and then the most recent comes to the top. So like if you are landing on the first page and it says minutes, and the December oldest meeting is what's there, you have to simply go and click view all, where the most recent comes up, and then everything. So
I would
we
love
talked
to
to the
partner
company.
with you on it. I think
Yeah,
there's
because our
some
company can't
website
do it.
improvement that can be done.
But we've already looked at that, so that absolutely cannot be. I mean, we've
Maybe
already
we should
contacted
look at a
them.
different website company then.
Well, that would be a council decision, but we just moved to this a year and a half
Happy to partner
ago.
with you on it.
And it goes with our city program that we use. So we've looked into that and it is not an option that we can use, so I
think that's one.
I think it did too. It shut down for updates is what it said it did, so I don't even know what to put that. It came up and said that it shut down within 30 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
I think we'll